Okay, hello YouTube people. I said I was going to do this. I had the idea to do this close to, I guess the day I heard. Those of you watching this video, some of you knew Jaclyn Mellon, were friends or family. I wanted to do a tribute video for Jaclyn just to just to tribute her and let all her friends and family know how much she affected me and how much she changed my life and how much she was a treasure. Her friendship was one of my greatest treasures I ever had. Jaclyn Mellon was a good friend of mine who was a bartender. I met her at a bar. As they say, you meet the woman at the bar. I met her at Revolution in downtown Bryan, where she started working in 2015, and I think I first met her shortly after she started working, and I was still living in Austin at the time. And in 2017 I came back, and I got to see more of her when I lived here and got to know her more. I always just thought, she was just one of the most interesting people and one of the coolest people I'd ever met. I remember the first night I met her. It was cold, and I don't know who the guy was, but he was a guy that worked there. I didn't see him much after that, or at all, possibly, but I remember her, and they were trying to build this fire, and they kept on, for some reason they couldn't get the fire completely ignited, this because it was cold and everything, and there were people that were laughing and I was trying to help them out, I'm thinking that's what I do, and I was trying to help them out, and then, Jaclyn was kind of getting a little irritated with the people laughing at us, we were all politely ignoring them, but we were all getting a little irked at some of the people who were probably drunk and obnoxious. But I just remember, and I met her, and she told me who she was, and she started talking about stuff like Star Wars and how much she hated episodes 1 through 3, like a lot of people. And I remember she was wearing a red dress, and I just saw her. I'm like, wow, who is that? She looks so cool. I mean, honestly, I thought she was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever laid eyes on. And, when I would come, like I said, I was living in Austin at the time, and I would come home to visit my parents who lived here at the time. And whenever I come home, I'd go to Revolution just because I would have friends that would go there. And I've been going to Revolution shortly after it first opened, and I think it opened in 2003. I didn't start going until it's about 2004, possibly 2003. And Jaclyn joined and became an employee there in 2015. And I remember running into a guy from my past named David Pate, who I was 16, he was 14, and we used to play in this band together, which was called Nougat, like what's in the candy bar, and we made a few little recordings. And I remember one night I was there, Jaclyn was working the bar, and David said, "Whoa, Steven," and I remember, I talked to him, I said, "Dude, I really want to play music again, I've got no one to play with," and I said, "Look, if I show you just a couple of, songs that I have in my catalog that are recorded, they're very simple, would you do an open mic?" So we did a few open mics, and then, David and I kind of drifted apart, but I remember David was Jaclyn's roommate, and I would set my drums up, and Jaclyn and David were nice enough to let me just keep the drums in David's bedroom. And so that's when I started to kind of get to know Jaclyn some, and from what David had told me about her rough past and everything, and I don't want to go too into that because I don't, that's a personal thing, and I don't want, to come off as some kind of a bad video, because this is a tribute to Jaclyn, because Jaclyn was one of my closest friends. Last Thanksgiving, she had a Thanksgiving party, And she had one the year before that, but I couldn't make that one because I had to work. I was working at Toys R Us at the time, and Toys R Us was open on Thanksgiving at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, and that was their Black Friday. It was basically Black Thursday, but on Thanksgiving was their Black Friday, and I had to work from like 3 to or I can't remember what it was. Only worked like 4 or 5 hours a day there. But so I couldn't make that party. But last year I went, and I was actually the only one that showed up. But what I will do in the description, I will put a link of 3 videos. I filmed 3 videos of this party, and it was Jaclyn, Wednesday, her adorable daughter, of course, and Bill, who was her roommate. And there's only one video that exists of me and Jaclyn. It was the second video I took, and if you want to see all this, any of Jaclyn's friends or family who have not seen this, I'll put a link in the description. So on this Thanksgiving party, that's when I really started to get to know Jaclyn. I got to, hang out with her, and we had a good time and everything, and she cooked some great food, and she taught me how to play Clue. I'd never played Clue before, and Wednesday wanted to play Clue. I'm like, yeah, I'll play. It's just I have no idea how. I've never played it before. So there's also a video of her explaining the rules of Clue to me. And she was telling, I remember seeing her Facebook post where she didn't have a real drivable vehicle at the time, and she would go to dialysis. It was something that she had done for like the last 4 years of her life. She would go to dialysis. And like I said, I don't want to mention the past of why, but I offered to be her driver. I would drive, and I asked her, hey, are you going to need a ride to dialysis tomorrow? Like sometime before I left the party, because I had to leave. I'd been there for a while, but I had to work in the morning, and I couldn't, stay up all night with her as much as I would have liked to. But she's like, oh yeah, that'd be great. So we got each other's numbers, and I drove her to dialysis for a while, and would drive her to, I'd drive her to, like, she had to go to Kroger, I think it was. Yeah, it was Kroger, because she had to get a money order to pay rent. And and she bought gas for me for giving a ride. She would pay for my gas. And there was a Starbucks in there, and I think it was kind of an impulse buy. I just remember she saw the sign that was advertising some drink, and her eyes just got real big, like, wow, okay. So she went to get some coffee. She's like, oh, you want a drink? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I got this, like, mint chocolate chip thing, whatever it was. Or not mint chocolate chip, it was some kind of chocolate chip thing. And there's a picture I have of it somewhere. I put it on Facebook, and yeah, Jaclyn bought that for me, and that was so cool. We started to get to know each other because of me being her dialysis driver. And she would buy gifts for me. She would buy, she'd buy me, like, stuff like Starbucks coffees and little scratch-off lottery tickets, so we both like playing the lottery. And she put gas in my car. She bought me cigarettes one time. She bought me a beer. She bought me one of those Steel Reserves. That was the thing. Like, I know when I went to Revolution, and I would go, want to order a beer, I'd say, hey, Jaclyn, what beer here is, what beer can I get here for $2? And she would tell me, pretty much anything for you. That's how cool she was. She wouldn't do that for all of her customers, but she was very gracious. I have so many great memories of that woman. And one thing I have to tell is I have to tell a Red Lobster story. On Christmas, I got 2 Red Lobster gift cards. I always get a Red Lobster gift card from my sister. My dad is disabled, and I take care of him full time. And one of the caretakers that we know really well bought me a Red Lobster gift card for Christmas. So I had 2. They were both $25, so that's $50 for Red Lobster. And one day, I remember Jaclyn invited me to go out to dinner with her. Like, her daughter Wednesday was singing in a choir. I think it was like a Christmas type thing. And she invited me to have dinner with her and then go see Wednesday at the choir. I said, I'd love to do that, but I can't leave my dad. I don't have anyone watching him tonight. But we will get together soon. And like a day after Christmas, or maybe a couple days after, it's probably about maybe 2 or 3 days, I texted Jaclyn. I said, "Hey, I've got these Red Lobster gift cards. Would you like to go to Red Lobster with me?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so we did. I went, and whatever night it was, I picked her up, and we drove to Red Lobster, and we had, we ordered a meal, and she also wanted to get some food for Wednesday, so she ordered some food too for Wednesday, but I paid for her meal and my meal, and then I put money down for the tip, and we were just having it was one of the greatest evenings of my life, just spending time, and I remember she was kind of stressed because Revolution, where she worked, was about to close for what was, I think, supposed to be only 2 weeks because of they were remodeling, and she didn't know how she was going to get any income. I know that they ended up doing these things called sugar shacks, which I didn't get to go to any of them because I had to stay home with my dad. But I know that helped her some. But, we would just talk, and we'd just get to know each other, and then, I would joke with her, and she laughed at all my jokes. And one of the things was, whenever you go to a Red Lobster, anyone who's been there knows it's a very darkly lit restaurant, especially if you go at night, which is what we did. I remember it was a cold night. It was a few days after Christmas, really cold, and the sky was completely, black. So we go in there, and Jaclyn's like kind of looking around like, "Man, this is a pretty darkly lit place." So then I start looking around, and I happen to look up, and there's these bright lights. We were sitting in a booth, and there's these bright lights. And then I look down at my salad, and I look at her, and I say, "There's a spotlight over my food." And she just gave me the most adorable smile and laughed at me. She used to laugh at all my jokes. She was one of my few friends that actually got all my humor. But I had the most amazing times hanging out with her, and she was definitely, I was so taken by how great of a mother she was, with all she had been through with her past, because she had been through quite a bit. She had a really rough life, and like I said, I don't want to give too much away or say the wrong thing, but she was, homeless in Seattle for a while, and she was struggling to live on the streets. When she got to Bryan, though, that's when she had basically started her dialysis and everything, and she, was basically doing everything she could for Wednesday. I mean, and just the way I would see her mother Wednesday, it just touched my heart, because I just thought she was just such an amazing mother. And that's really who my heart is breaking for the most, is Wednesday, because Wednesday and Jaclyn were great. I just loved seeing them together. They were like the dynamic duo. And whenever I would see Jaclyn, and I'd drop her off home from a dialysis appointment, I would always say hi to Wednesday for me, because I adored Wednesday. I totally saw Jaclyn in Wednesday. It was like a little mini Jaclyn. And after Red Lobster, unfortunately, that was the last time I ever saw her. We kept in touch through text after that, but I never got to see her again. But I did see her the day after she went to the hospital. I saw her, and it was one of the saddest sights I'd ever seen, just seeing her like that. And she was, on the life support machine. She had the breathing tube, and I went in there and asked the nurse, who was very nice. I said, "How is she doing?" And she said, "She's not doing good." So I don't know if Jaclyn heard me or not, but I just told her, what I could, and I started breaking down when I was talking. I just told her, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry this happened to you. But I've always thought of you as a treasure and a hero to me, because the way you mother Wednesday, you just mother her like just it's just such a warm. I could tell you're just like one of the greatest mothers. You knew how to be a great mom, and you had the most awesome daughter. And I love you with all my heart. I used to call her Rockstar. That was my little pet nickname. I remember the first day I picked her up for dialysis right after her party. I just said, "Hey, Rockstar." Just came out randomly. I didn't plan on calling her that. I just said, "Hey, Rockstar," and I just called her that because she was like a real rock star to me because she was a fighter. She had been through, hell and back, and was doing everything she could to keep herself alive, and was very, very loving to people, and would pretty much give anybody a chance, and she really loved everybody. She had a lot of friends and a lot of, there's family, and she really had a lot of love to give, and she was not selfish at all, and she was very generous. Like she gave me gifts, and and I remember I wrote her a little Christmas card and put it in her mailbox. She appreciated that. The worst thing about it was my birthday was last Tuesday, was April 9th. I turned 39, if anybody wants to know how old I am. And that's when all this happened. She went to dialysis. Her blood pressure was too high, and they had to rush her to the hospital. And she had a stroke. There was a hole in her heart with internal bleeding, and they had to crack open her skull to do surgery. Tomorrow, she will be taken off life support. She will have the plug pulled on her. And there's one of her old friends, her ex-boyfriend Dan, I think was a boyfriend of hers, if I'm not mistaken, drove all the way from Vegas to see her one last time. And I'm sorry I didn't get to see her, like hang out with her, but I did text her. And I asked her if she was working on the 9th because I kind of wanted to hang out with her on my birthday if she wasn't busy that night. But she never responded. And I kind of figured it was because she was having some problems with her neighborhood. Her street would be out of power. It would be the only street in the block. So I figured, well, she couldn't charge her phone, so therefore she wasn't able to see the text message. And I realized it was because she was really sick. But I would have liked to have, it would have been really cool to hang out with her. I hadn't really hung out with her since that Red Lobster dinner. And I'll tell you, that night was so great. Being with her, I would not trade that night for anything in the world. It's one of my treasured memories. But this is just a tribute. I just wanted to let people know, like, Jaclyn was really special to me. It's really hard. The past few days have been really hard. I'm getting through it, and today I spent the day thinking about all the fun times, all the times we made each other laugh, and all the happy times, and everything I loved about that woman. She was my little rock star. I really looked up to that woman and thought she was one of the kindest, sweetest, toughest, and most beautiful people I ever met in my life. She was very, very beautiful in every way. And I'm really sorry to everybody. I'm especially sorry to Wednesday that we have to say goodbye to her. But she will no longer be suffering. She will no longer be suffering, and I know going to those dialysis for 4 hours, that really took a lot out of her. But I was happy to give her rides. I was available. It got me a chance to get to know Jaclyn and how great she was and how much of a treasure I viewed her, and I always will view her as a treasure, and she was my hero for doing all that and just being so great to Wednesday. That's what made her a hero to me. I never told her that except for, when I saw her the other day in the hospital. Whether she could hear me or not, I don't know. I never told her she was my hero or my treasure, but she is and always will be. Um, I think I think that's probably about the best I can say right now. I just want to say, if Jaclyn can hear me, you were super special to me. You were the greatest. You were the best. You changed my life. You made me happier than I was before. You always made me happy. We always got along. Um, you will always be with me no matter where you are. I love you, Jaclyn. Ride easy, my friend.